Hey Brainiacs, how you guys doing today? I am Cam's Brain. I'd like to thank you for tuning in to another episode of My Humble Opinion. Today I'm in a different situation other than the regular podcast that I usually do. We're actually in a storm right now, but I've been wanting to film at this mural for the past few months, so I'm going to make it happen anyway. I like to find different spots to do these podcasts. I think it's just kind of changes things up and makes things nice, fresh, and original. But anyways, if you guys are new here, we've been studying the 48 Laws of Power. That's a book by Robert Greene. We take a law of power once a week and we dissect it and we figure out how it can help us in our lives spiritually, mentally, physically, and even financially in most ways. Today is no exception. We're going to be talking about the 11th law of power, which is learn to keep people dependent on you. Now, as I always say, when it comes to this book, it is a little bit manipulative, specifically that law of power of learning to keep people dependent on you. I think you can turn it into a positive thing though, when you're talking about parenting. You know, some parents, they'll get their kid a toy or they'll get their kid a car, or they will give them an option to have something that benefits them. And then if they're not able to listen to rules and regulations and guidelines that are set up in the home, it gets taken away. Now, that's not necessarily manipulative to me. If it teaches a lesson, it teaches responsibility, then for me, I feel like that's a healthy way of keeping somebody dependent on you, because what you're doing is you're allowing them to eventually become more dependent on themselves by learning lessons that they don't have to actually deal with real time in real life, for instance. So I think, you know, with parenting, if you're using it in that way, that's great. But you also have to think about the flip side of that. Sometimes friends and family, they will use what they have to control you. And as a young adult, as an adult, you have to begin to set healthy guidelines when you're dealing with family, when you're dealing with friends and things like that. Because if somebody knows they can take advantage of you, they more than likely will. And you have to be very cautious on guarding yourself from that type of person. And this parable is great. For me, I use this book in a sense of being aware of the manipulator instead of being the manipulative one. And it's key in life. Life isn't pretty, that you understand that even though it's a situation where this book is about sometimes manipulation, there's a lot of manipulation in this world. So as it relates to a personal way of using that in a positive sense as a parent, I think from personal experience, that's a way that I've used that parable. Now in business, what I try to do is create a product that people can only come to me for. I try to customize something, and that's my way of trying to keep my customer dependent on me. I will take something that's regularly available, but then I will customize it specifically to a certain clientele. And with that, what happens is it sets me apart from everybody else that is doing something. For instance, if everybody is selling Stanley cups, right? And that's the new big thing, but I'm actually customizing them. I'm putting wedding dates on them. I'm putting logos on them. I'm putting different sayings and things like that on this cup. That sets me apart from the regular guy that's gonna be selling these Stanley cups regular, you know, day-to-day, day in out, very plain and generically. So in business, the best way to use this parable is to figure out how you can create a formula for yourself where people feel like they have to come to you to get the best of whatever it is they're looking for. Now, in a spiritual aspect, I look at this in a situation where I have to remember to be careful what I read, who I watch, who I believe in. There's a lot of pastors, there's a lot of bishops, there's a lot of people out in the world that will use your weakness, your time of weakness, your time of faith, your time of uneasiness to get their own objective across to you, to get you to do what it is they want you to do. A lot of people will use their spirituality to control you, and that's something you have to be aware of, and that's definitely speaks to the parable of learning to keep people dependent on you. So when it comes to believing in the higher power, the best thing to do is make sure that you are getting whatever it is that you want to believe in for yourself. That way, you're not stuck in a situation where you're dependent on a person. You want to be your own entity. You want to be your own energy, positive energy, and whatever it is you're trying to focus on in a spiritual sense. And the same thing with relationships. You want to make sure you're not with somebody because of what they have, or you want to make sure that somebody's not dealing with you because they feel like what they have allows them to tell you what you should do. So this parable speaks volumes on many different ways, but the biggest thing is to just stay positive and to look at it in a way where it will help you elevate as an individual. But yeah, that's what I have today. You guys leave your comments down below. Let me know how you feel about this. If you think that it's okay to have people be dependent on you for certain things until they're able to elevate as individuals, or do you feel like that's something that everybody needs to get on their own accord? Let's get involved. I love to hear from you guys. I'm Cam's Brain. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of My Humble Opinion. I'll see you next time. Peace.